Good morning. This is Steve Kessler with Vertical Alliance Group, and I want to welcome everybody to today's Transportation Industry Best Practices webinar, sponsored by the Infiniti Workforce System and Vertical Alliance Group. Today's program is a client spotlight interview featuring No Boundaries Transportation with National Director of Safety, Billy May. But before we get started, I want to share with you one thing about Vertical Alliance Group and the Infiniti Workforce System. We are the online training company dedicated to empowering and streamlining safety programs for transportation companies across the U.S. With over 850 training videos and a customizable system to automate, track, and document all aspects of training, it's no wonder more than 2,000 companies have chosen the Infiniti Workforce System. The Infiniti Workforce System not only makes it easy to build an affordable, best-in-class training program for your drivers, but it also frees up your administrative time while giving you the ability to communicate more effectively and train employees anywhere, anytime. The Infiniti Workforce System not only makes it easy to build an affordable, best-in-class training program for your drivers, but it also frees up your administrative time while giving you the ability to communicate more effectively and train employees anywhere, anytime. So if you're committed to having a training program that proves you value safety over profits, but all the while still improving your bottom line, type the words training in the Q&A box on your screen, and one of our training specialists will reach out to you and share how the Infiniti online training system can streamline your entire safety program while making your job easier. Also, after the webinar, you'll be receiving an email that will give you a link to the webinar replay, so you can share today's information with others that could not attend today. So now I'd like to introduce you to today's guest. Billy May is the National Director of Safety at No Boundaries Transportation. Our Infiniti Workforce Solutions No Boundary Transportation is the second largest FedEx contractor by number of trucks, and they run the most miles of any FedEx contractor. Billy has been a driver and has been involved in trucking in different capacities for over 30 years. So without delay, I would like to welcome Mr. Billy May. And if y'all will bear with me 1 second, I need to get in here and see if I can get Billy on the phone. So just
I'm here, Steve.
Oh, there you are. Great.
Yep.
You're online.
Yeah, I got in.
Thank you. So Billy, I'm just going to turn it over to you, and I've got some questions that I'm going to ask. So if you're all set to go, I will get to the first question. So
all righty, I'm ready.
So Billy, tell us a little bit before we kind of get started, a little bit about No Boundaries Trucking Group, kind of what you all do there. Just clue us in a little bit about your business.
Well, No Boundaries Trucking Group, I actually was a contractor with FedEx for 26 years, and I got ready to sell out, and I met a fellow, that our CEO, Michael Grody, and he made the purchase, and I went to work for him. I was just tired of being an owner-operator. And we started business about 3 years ago. We started out mainly on the West Coast. I was the first purchase on the East Coast. But we went from about 16 tractors to currently we're at about 91 tractors and dedicated routes. We're located in Tracy, California, Nashville, Tennessee, Atlanta, Georgia, and Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
So we grew a pretty good bit there in that first 3 years. But basically what we do is all long-distance line haul for FedEx ground across the country, station to station.
Great. Thanks, Billy. So let me ask you this question. You've been a Infiniti Workforce Solution client for a few years now, but if you recall back, how was the company providing safety training before the Infiniti system?
Well, it was very difficult. In our being an owner operator, which our company is to FedEx, We don't necessarily have offices and locations, or didn't for quite some time. So we would generally borrow the meeting room of FedEx once a month, bring the drivers in. It was all face to face. Very difficult to get everybody in. Basically, a lot of them lived a good ways away, and we literally had to pay them to come in. So there was that great expense, and then feeding them or breakfast or whatever. But in general, it was just a once a month, and maybe depending on how busy we were, it could be once every couple of months. But it wasn't good enough, in my opinion.
Okay. Let me ask you this, Billy. Obviously when you take on, software or a new way to go about doing training, did you have concerns at the beginning about online training, and if you could share what those might have been?
Well, I wouldn't call it concern. I guess my biggest concern was participation. Because you never know what type of individual your driver is, whether they're computer savvy or, I was worried about whether or not they'd be able to make the switch to computers. I knew if we could get that done, it would be better, but just in general, the participation, I was concerned how they would accept it or not accept it. And,
okay.
But unfortunately, we did okay. Not great, but okay to begin with.
Okay. Well, kind of along those lines, what are you using the system for now primarily? You using it for orientation or corrective action, monthly training, all the above?
All the above. I've set up every driver that comes to work for us now. I have a series of assignments that we give to them. It generally takes them about 3 hours to complete everything that is in that orientation. But I think that if most of your people that are listening in, I'm sure they've listened to Dean Hugh on your videos, and I think that was the first one that I ever listened to, and it scared the pants off of me because you're so easily sued in this day and age. And
Sure.
he was basically saying, if you haven't trained these people and you can't prove that you trained them, even if they've been driving for 25 years or more, it gives those trial lawyers an opening to get in there and really tear you up. And so basically I set up everything from what to do in an accident, hours of service. It's just a long list of things of how to connect, disconnect, everything that you could possibly imagine, so that if we ever ended up in a courthouse, that I would be able to prove that driver had been trained by us on everything.
Yeah, with these huge nuclear verdicts today, it's pretty important to be able to document everything that you've done. And I think we have this kind of saying around here, and I think Dean Huth actually coined that. The saying is, if it's not in writing, if it's not signed, if it's not dated, or you can't find it, it didn't happen. And that's
exactly
true in a court case. You can't prove what you did, they'll assume you did nothing.
Well, and honestly, that's my motto. That's what I live by.
Yeah.
And Infiniti gives me that, and it's documented, it's signed, it's dated, and I can find it because all I have to do is contact you guys, and it's all recorded and saved. And so that, like you said, that is basically my motto. That's what I live off of.
Good. So, kind of going back to what we were talking about a little earlier, did you have drivers, you even used the word tech savvy, that were not tech savvy, the fellows out there, the ladies that still have a flip phone?
Right.
Do you have any challenges with those, and what did you do about that?
Well, in the beginning, we kind of did, and for those drivers that did have those issues, the manager would just meet them once a month when they came in. They would schedule it and just sit down with them and do it on a laptop. But it didn't take very long after they'd done it a time or two that they were like, oh, well, shoot, I can do this, So And as the years have progressed, and people get more and more tech savvy as it goes along, but with the new guys that we hire now, we just don't have an issue with it. We pretty much, when they come on, you're going to get a link. This is going to be your orientation. You have to finish this before you're able to drive for us. And just had one today. I sent it in yesterday. Boom, today I got a notification that he had completed it the next day. So it started out kind of difficult, but in this day and age, like I said, I think everybody's progressed, and the system is user friendly enough to where they really don't have any difficulty anymore.
Yeah, I kind of have seen that too. It seems like over time, more and more people are used to this kind of technology, and we don't really hear too many issues today with drivers that are have no access to the internet or unable to do things on a phone, that sort of thing. So it's become less of a problem over time, but they're still out there. And I guess my point is that can't be an excuse with an online system. You have to make some kind of arrangements like you guys did to make sure that they can get on and get the training done. And by the way, folks out there, if you're listening, if you have a question, feel free to type it into the little panel there on the screen, and we'll be happy to take your questions also. So tell me.
I would add to that also, when the camera systems and things came in, this was all new. Things that made people very uncomfortable. And, but like I said, like you said, it's part of the system now. People really they've seen it, they know it's out there, they know it's coming. And so there's not as much argument about it as when I started with you guys.
Well, yeah, and actually, I think as the time passes, it becomes actually an important part of bringing in new drivers. New folks these days want to have that technology. They feel like they're working, with a company that's up to date and using modern technology to operate their business. And I think a lot of newer drivers look for that sort of thing these days.
Well, and you're right. That is something that I've really noticed about us. So we took basically the company motto is we are a safety and training company that hauls freight. So
I like that.
Our main goal is safety, period. And of course, we're going to haul freight. That's what brings the revenue in. But our main focus is safety. And we do press our guys, and if they're not willing to be a part of this and have that, ideology, then I would rather train them than to let them go. But I will let them go if there's somebody that just simply does not care about safety. And by doing that, well, people thought I was crazy at first because they're like, well, you're just is the turnover the way it is and you're letting guys go? But the thing is they enjoy the structure. And as a matter of fact, it has brought more drivers to us than drivers that leave, because we have a reputation of safety and we have quality equipment and we're stringent on it. And that actually has attracted better drivers to our company, and more than people have been leaving. So.
Yeah, I think there's no question about, drivers out there, if they're looking for a place to fit in, they look for a safe company, somebody that focuses on that. Because, in the end, the drivers, they want to come home safe every night. They want to make sure they stay safe for their families. And frankly, they want to make sure the motoring public is safe. So,
well, and that's the relationship I have with these drivers. And it took a little bit for me to convince them that I'm not out to get you. I'm your friend.
Yeah.
I want you to get home safe, and I'm trying to protect you rather than run you off. So.
Yeah, safety is not a club to beat them over the head with. It's actually, you're doing it for their benefit and for the benefit of all of us out here that go up and down the roads.
Precisely.
Great. Another question here. How do you manage the program, Billy? Do you do it pretty much all yourself through the admin side? Do you depend on your client success rep? Tell me how you kind of go about it.
Yeah, I do. I like to personally select, and that's one of the the things that drew me to you guys more than anybody else, because there are plenty of systems out there where they'll do it for you. They'll put out the videos, but I'm getting, we're contractors. Basically, our safety is strictly in the truck and driving the truck.
Right.
And so I was getting warehouse, OSHA type stuff. Other places do that. So you guys have an incredible catalog, and I will spend days going through there just watching the videos myself and hand selecting those for ones that are, that deal mostly with what my drivers deal with. So it's more customizable, I guess you could say. So I like doing it myself, but Georgia Berry Mobley is my rep, and if I've got to make some big changes or switch things around, or sometimes I have videos of my own that I want to upload, or another video I found that I think is interesting, I just send it to her. She takes care of it within minutes. And I must say, y'all have great customer service. I've got to say that.
Well, we certainly agree with that, but I would say that's one thing we're very, very proud of in this company. We have a top-notch client success group, and they're there to make sure that our customers succeed. So that's great to hear, Billy. So here's something that we hear quite a lot, and comes even from some of our customers out there. How do you get the drivers to log in and complete the training assignments? And I'm hearing that you have a fairly high level of compliance. So if you would speak to that a little bit.
Well, actually, at the beginning of this year, we have these things called WIGs, Wildly Idyllic Goals. And the company sets those up, and one of them was 100%, or actually they said 90% participation each month. And I know this may sound crazy to everybody, and it may sound like one of those things where you're, oh my God, are you really doing that? But I just basically laid the law down, and I said, we put out our safety at the first day of the month, and if you have not completed that by the due date, which is the end of the month, you're suspended without pay until you complete it. And when I said that, everybody was shocked. They were like, oh my God, our routes aren't going to run. We're going to lose revenue. But since January the 1st till right now, we've had 100% compliance every month. And there are some stragglers now that will wait till midnight on the last day of the month. But they do it because we have suspended somebody, and it got around, and they're like, they're not kidding. You do it. I mean, even if it's the last day, you've got to have that done, or you are not allowed to dispatch. So as crazy as that sounded, it worked like a charm. And even those stragglers, we just recently, they're waiting until the last day of the month. So we changed their due date to the 20th, which is harder to remember than the last day of the month. So they've started doing it towards the first part of the month, so they don't get caught with their pants down and miss it. So we've had 100% every month, and I'm proud to say that. So
well, you should be. That's not an easy thing to accomplish, but that really should be everybody's goal. It's a little scary to me if you think about. You may have drivers in your fleet that you can't document any decent amount of training. It would certainly be a dangerous thing if that person had an accident and you ended up in court. So
good point, though. I'm sorry to interject, but I just wanted to tell you that this wasn't only just our idea. As a contractor with FedEx Ground, if we have an accident and the tractor doesn't have FCAM technology, doesn't have a camera VEDR system in it, and that driver is not current with their online safety training, then we are responsible for the first $25,000 of the claim of the accident.
Right.
But if we have all those things done, then we're responsible for the first $2,000. So that FedEx had a lot to do with that, but we don't want to spend $25,000 when we don't have to.
Well, no, who would? But it's bottom line here is you have to have some enforcement here. There has to be some teeth into this. There has to be either a benefit or consequence or something, because it's just absolutely imperative that training be documented on everybody in the fleet.
Right.
Billy, I got a question that popped in here. I think it kind of followed up on, we were talking a little bit about using it in orientation. Somebody's wanting to know if you found any cost savings using Infiniti as part of your orientation and onboarding.
Oh, absolutely, because this is something that they can do in the comfort of their own home. We don't have to fly them anywhere. We don't have to have rent a space to bring these people in to do it face. I mean, there are some things that we do face to face, but actually, most everybody loves the fact that they don't have to travel. They can do it at their leisure. And once they come on and we're processing them, we assign this to them, and basically they have from that time, they just have to complete it prior to getting in one of our vehicles.
Right.
And, you know, usually the processing time, everybody knows, is usually about a week or so. So they don't have to sit down for 3 solid hours. They can work this out through their week. So it saves money by us not having to move them or travel them anywhere. And they love it because it's, you know, very convenient for them. And that would be what I would recommend or say about that. I mean, it's just, you cut out a lot of the cost. And with Infiniti, everything has to be passed at a 100% grade. So, I mean, it may take them a while, but we know that they're trained. We've got it documented. And also, I might like to add that while we do that, I had Georgia Berry upload our driver manual, our safety manual. And so that's all electronic. They electronically sign that they've received it, and it is stored in resources. So they don't have to carry this copy around with them forever. If they want to know something or want to look it up, they can go into Infiniti, their classroom, pull up resources, go to the manual, and read it right there online. So it's a lot of good benefits to it, actually.
Absolutely. Billy, a couple of the questions that popped in here, and they're very similar. Somebody wanted to know if the drivers are paid for their training. If so, how do you do that? And somebody else asked, are they on the clock while doing training at home?
No, because when they're doing, well, actually, the training online, no, it's just required. It's part of your job. It's part of your pay. We don't pay extra for it. And that's what I was saying is before, when we were having these meetings face to face, these guys would travel. Some of them may live 100 miles away from the place we're doing it, but we would pay them. So there was a cost to us to get them all together to play. And, you know, we're going to get them, you know, biscuits from McDonald's or something. So, you know, you're paying for them, you're paying for the food, you're paying for the room, lots of costs involved. But since they don't have to come, this is a benefit to them, and we don't have to pay. So
no,
we don't pay for it. Some may require it, but we don't.
Okay. You know, I think you all have obviously, you know, independent contractors, and I think there's a great appreciation by those folks to be able to take care of assignments and training when it's convenient for them. They're independent for a reason, and I think it's just a really good fit if you have those kind of drivers in your company.
Right. Now, we don't have any with us at the moment. All of ours are directly employed by us.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Tell us a little bit about your results that have experienced. Saved money. Has it had an impact on insurance? I think I've heard that you've had some pretty good feedback on that.
I did. Well, first of all, just having this online safety training benefits you insurance-wise. That you will get discounts for that. Not to get off the subject of you, but I also incorporate that with my lytics cameras and training.
Right.
And we have in each one of our locations, we have coaches that are diligent about doing this every single day. And one thing that I did was kind of narrow down my camera issues, not to talk about that too much, but I down to things that were basically life and death things that I wanted to know. I wasn't that concerned about making a curve a little fast into the hub, but if you're riding somebody's tail all the time, these are the things that I was concerned with. But back to Infiniti, my drivers are much more educated. They expect that video every month. I have them come up to me when I'm out visiting, and they'll talk about, I really love that video. I didn't know that about this or that, and that's really good knowledge to have. And but it's an excellent educational tool, and they are learning from it. As like I said, but that mine, I pick the videos myself, so I don't. That's the one thing I like. It's all related to directly to our business, and not just. They've got other people that they hear that are on other training programs, and they're like, yeah, well, they're getting stuff about wet floors in a warehouse and this and that, but we don't go in one. So I'm glad we don't have this. But I'm just saying it's a thing. But as far as the insurance goes, through this training and our coaching with our videos, we reduced our claims and accidents so much that last year we were able to switch insurance companies, and it saved the company $100,000 a year.
Wow.
So it was huge.
Well, that's pretty good return on investment, I'd say.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. Insurance is one of those things right now. It's very troublesome. Premiums are going up pretty rapidly at very high rates, and it seems like it's what you can do today is to do everything possible to try to minimize increases.
Right.
So obviously, you've got to get accidents and incidents down, CSA scores in check. Everything has got to be worked on to try to maintain insurance costs at some reasonable, acceptable level.
Right, exactly.
I hear companies having their rates, double because of too many accidents, and it's to the point where some companies are not even being reinsured. So
right.
I think it's even more important today than it's ever been from an insurance standpoint to make sure that you're addressing those things. And certainly our system and cameras will have a big impact on that.
Absolutely. And the thing is we were talking about being in court and having to prove yourself, but having all that documentation and data, if an insurance company can look into that and see what your program's like. And that's what they did for us. And they know that I always say we don't make it a priority. It is I can't think of the word I'm trying to say right now, but it's just a part of our being.
Yeah, it's got to be a core value of a company.
Value.
Yeah. I say this all the time, you often see slogans that say safety is our number one priority. Well, right. Priorities change depending upon circumstances, and safety is one of those things that cannot. It doesn't matter how upset the customer might be or what's going on. You don't do things unsafe for any reason. So it's a consistent value that if it's not done safely, it's just not done at all.
Correct. And that is the way we operate. And you're right, that's a core value. It's not a priority. They do change. But yes. A value does not.
Should not.
Yeah.
Another question kind of jumping out here. Do you use any custom content, any content you've created yourself that we've uploaded?
Well, that's something that I just started. We were talking about safety meetings and getting people together. And our company is not only safety oriented, but family oriented also. And back at the beginning of the year, they wanted us to actually start doing these face-to-face meetings. And I told them, I said, well, all we do is preach about home time and them people being home with their families, yet we're going to take them away from their families on their time off to come to a meeting. Right. And frankly, I know probably everybody that's listening has been to a safety meeting. The safety meeting lasts for about 10 minutes, and then it goes down a rabbit hole, and then another 35, 40 minutes of people getting upset and arguing about pay or this and that. And by the time they leave, they don't even remember what the safety meeting was about.
Yeah.
So,
I
But
hear
what
that
I'm
all the
doing,
time. You know, the meetings sometimes get out of control and you run out of time and you didn't get to half the things that you wanted to talk about.
exactly. So
And
what I started doing this year was I haven't uploaded it yet. I've just been doing it by email, but
Mhm.
I make a safety meeting video of myself. It's a virtual safety meeting. This is what I came up with, so that they all have to sign on, they all have to sign off. It's all electronic.
Mhm.
They get a video from me for about 10 or 15 minutes talking about the type of maybe the gear or the traffic or whatever's going on,
Right.
and it's a 10, 15-minute meeting online that they can do at home at their convenience, and it works. I mean, but they're still getting the message, and they're not leaving mad
Yeah.
and forgetting what the message was about. So
Yeah, I mean, I think, and there's also a value to the consistency of the message. You know, when things are committed to video or however you're doing it online, you know, everybody hears the same message, the same training content. When you do things in person, and again, I'm not negative to in-person training, that's important, but
right,
sometimes you don't get things said that need to be said or things get missed. And
right.
so I think there's a value to having a consistent way you train across your entire enterprise. Doesn't matter where the drivers are, they all are trained is the same way.
Well, and like I said, I try to make those videos lighthearted, serious but lighthearted, and I always give a Billy tip at the end of it, and they all love the Billy tips. I've been
That's
trucking for
awesome.
36 years, and
Yeah.
I was just telling somebody the other day where I broke down my alternator belt, went out and I made a alternator belt out of a compare control top pantyhose. So, and it worked. But they love the Billy tips, and so it's just. And I guess I would add too, if you really want this stuff to work, and you really want your guys to accept it, and I say this, and people look at me kind of weird sometimes, but you gotta love these guys. I was in a truck for 36 years.
Yeah.
It's the most isolating job you'll ever have, and if they believe, and it, not that they believe, but if you are there for them, no
Yeah.
matter what, they will follow you through the gates of hell.
Yeah.
And I genuinely love my drivers. I pray for them every morning and pray for them every night. And they know that I love them. I'll show up at 2 o'clock in the morning out there in the yard while they're hooking up, and
Yeah.
they'll be like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "Well, I'm just here to see you, brother." You know.
Yeah.
So it has a lot to do with it.
And you know, Billy, there's a whole lot of value in what you're talking about here because you're really engaging with the drivers, engaging with them on their level. You know, too many times I think drivers are pretty much they talk to a dispatcher and that's the only person in the company they have any communication with. What you're doing is engaging them, making them feel part of the business. And I think over time that has a big impact on turnover. You're going to get drivers that are going to want to stay there because this is a different feeling than they've had in other places. So it's
Exactly.
important to stay with these folks and include them instead of just ordering them around.
Well, I am blessed to be with the company that I'm with. I do travel around to all 4 locations, generally at least every month, maybe every 2 months. But
Mm-hmm.
I go out. That's what I do. And if they're dispatching at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm out in the yard at 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm here in Atlanta, but I'll show up on their yard in California, and it just shocks them because corporate's there, out there caring about them. You know,
Yeah,
it
right.
just makes a huge difference.
Sure does. Sure does. Tell us a little bit about, you know, you mentioned Georgia Berry and, you know, any comments you want to make further about our client success group. We don't call them customer service. We call them client success reps.
Yeah, they are. Georgia Berry was my second one. I had a great. I can't recall her name right now. My first client success person, but she was fantastic. And then Georgia Berry stepped in and didn't skip a beat. She's always delightful, pleasant to talk to. If I have drivers that are having trouble logging in or this or whatever, I just give them, and she tells me, just give them my number. And within, they can make that phone call and boom, they're in. They've got it done. She's never failed me, not one time, in any request that I've ever had for her. And I just think they're fabulous people. I hope to get to meet her one day.
Well, we hope so too, and I'll see if I can arrange that for you, Billy. I know
Okay.
Georgia would love to meet you. You're one of her favorites. Kind of wrapping up here, are you planning anything new with the system in the future? Any new ideas that you have? Any new types of training or anything that you're thinking about?
Well, like I said, these virtual meetings, I am going to start uploading those. I haven't done it, but it's just simpler. Once they're in there, then and they check that they've watched it, it's electronically signed.
Right.
But I've always got great. I mean, I'm coming up with all kinds of new ideas. We've had a number of incidents where drivers have had knee injuries and things because we deal with dollies. We pull double trailers.
Right.
And I've searched the internet like crazy for videos for it, and there's not one. So things like that, I'm fixing to start making videos showing proper lifting and walking with the dolly techniques. And like I said, as the further along I go in this job, the more of these things become apparent. I need to get a video for this. I need to, this documentation needs to go out. Georgia Berry usually does it for me, but when they log in, there's usually a start screen that has a safety message or whatever. And she's always been doing that for me, but I may get more into customizing those as well. But, I don't know. The funny thing is I don't know, and then a week or two later, all of a sudden I have a great idea of how to use it. But it's very user-friendly, and it solves a lot of problems. I mean, it just really does. Like I said, back with the driver manuals, we used to have to print them. We used to have to bind them. We used to have to get them to the driver, have them sign off. It was on a paper that we had to scan and upload and put it, with, and I was like, why don't we just put it in this, and then it's there.
Yeah, and if you change it, you only have to make one electronic copy. You don't have to print, bind, or do any of that.
Exactly. So there's another way of saving money through you guys. It does save a bunch of money. Honestly, it really does.
All right. Just a word out to everybody listening. If you have a question, go ahead and pop it in. But Billy, I really got to thank you for being on today. It was a pleasure to talk to you. I haven't talked to you in a while. It's been quite a few years ago since you and I met, I believe. But
I was a student in your boot camp. I think that was the last time. Yep. How time flies.
Isn't that something? That was 3 or 4, maybe 5 years ago already.
Right.
Anyway, Billy, once again, thank you very much. I put your email up here. I hope you don't mind. If anybody's got a question or want to reach out to you, they can shoot you an email. I'm sure I'd
be more than happy to receive them.
But once again, Billy, thank you. I appreciate you taking some time out of, I'm sure, a very busy day to join us. And we always appreciate your comments. So having said that, I don't see any other questions coming in now. So Billy, I'll say thanks once more. And to those of you that tuned in today, I hope you enjoyed the webinar, and certainly I hope you join us for our program next month. So thank you much, Billy. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, and you're quite welcome anytime.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.